Welcome to the Lifestyle Property Podcast. I'm Jamie Greaves, your host and professional property investor. I'm here to bring you insights, home truths and powerful stories about what really goes on in property investment, business and growing your dream lifestyle. Are you ready? Let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to the Lifestyle Property Podcast, and welcome to episode 6, which is titled How to Grow Your Property Portfolio. So let's get into it. So what I'm going to cover today are some top tips for you. And for those who have listened to episode 5, if you haven't, I heavily encourage you to do so, because there I break down everything that I was doing wrong when I started my investment portfolio. My top tips for you are essentially do the opposite of what I did. I made a lot of mistakes early on, so I want you to avoid those. So I will go through 5 tips for you. Make a note of these. I think they'll bring you big value, and I'll share insights and examples for you as well. So just before I jump into the top tip for you guys, let me provide some context and a reason why I'm doing this podcast, okay? So these tips come from a really, really good place. And I'll apologise in advance if they sound a bit preachy. None of us like being told what to do, throughout life. Do this, do that. But I'm simply trying to be the person that I needed when I was starting and growing my portfolio. I didn't have anyone out there who was speaking from the heart, speaking with honesty and speaking with experience. And I've been a full-time property investor for 5.5 years now at the time of recording. I'm also very well networked with other investors. I know a lot of investors across a lot of different strategies, and I've learned so much in that time, the right ways of doing things and the wrong ways. And there's things I do differently, things I've done brilliantly, things I've not done brilliantly, tips and insights and lessons. And I want to give back and help. And I wish I knew these tips. And if we knew some of the things that I'm going to go into today from the outset, and then the earlier we know them, the better our life will be. We'll live our life freer with more income and lifestyle and choice and freedom and joy and happiness earlier. So if these tips come across preachy, which they probably will do, then I apologize in advance, but they come from a place of good, of warmth, of heart, of wanting to help you. I promise, okay? And these are the tips that I needed to know many years ago, okay? So this just to explain why they come from a really good place, okay? So here we go. Tip number 1 for growing your property portfolio is focus, okay? Choose one strategy to focus on. Okay? Good news, they all work. Let's name them: SA, holiday lets, Airbnb, HMO, commercial conversions, BRR, flip, social housing, supported living. I could go on. They all work. Okay? However, there's a right and wrong way of doing things, and there's a right and wrong order. Okay? The best order is, and I'm going to help you now, start with cash flow. Okay? Start with cash flow. Okay, being scattergun doesn't work, and actually cash flow is my lesson number 2, which I'll come to then. But being scattergun doesn't work, and trust me, I've been there, I've done that. So there is no good in looking for HMOs and buy-to-lets and SA one at a time, guys, one at a time. You can diversify later. Okay, yeah, long term, having a diversified portfolio is a smart thing to do, but we get there by being hyper-focused. Okay, so we want to focus on one main strategy, and only once you've nailed it, once you've systemized it, once it's hands-free, once it's providing you what you aim for, i.e. regular income or high capital, you can then move on. What I was doing early on was what a lot of people do, is it's called shiny penny syndrome, okay? It's when, what's that? And it's not our fault, guys. It's not our fault. We are in the modern world we live in, we're bombarded with messages and insights and reels and videos and information, and a lot of them look really attractive, but we need to block out the noise, okay? We need to choose our main strategy, what we're working on, and nail it. You want to become a master of that. You don't want to try and do too many things, because it just doesn't work. So just some practical elements of what makes a great SA or Airbnb property is very different to HMO, very different to buy-to-let, very different to flip, very different to commercial conversions. How you find them, how you finance them, how to refurb them, how to manage them, they're all different. They're all very, very different. And if you try and do everything, you'll do nothing. Okay, so the grass is greenest where it's watered. Okay, so choose one main strategy, and focus. Okay, because they all work. Focus on it and nail it, and diversify in a few years' time, diversify later. Okay, which I'll come on to. Okay, point number 2, and I've already alluded to this, okay, no guesses here, but you have to start with cash flow. So I'm going to really help you now get rid of the overwhelm, okay, flips and buy-to-lets and SA, and what should I do, what should I not do? You have to start with cash flow, okay? So because it's cash flow that buys our time back. It's cash flow that allows us to go full-time, okay? So we don't want to start in a slow cash flow area. So let's just talk, say, buy-to-lets, for example. Okay, buy-to-lets can be brilliant, really difficult in this market, high interest rates, turbulent times with the regulation of getting rid of tenants. It's not something that I'd want to do right now for those reasons, but they've got a time and a place. But buy-to-let's not going to give you financial freedom quickly. Okay, it's just not. You're going to earn low margins. If the boiler goes, you're not going to earn anything in that year. Buy-to-let's something you want to do later on, when it's just retirement, slow assets, capital in the background, that just grows. You don't want to start there because, my Lord, you're making it so hard for yourself. If you imagine a HMO property or a Airbnb holiday let property, if they can pay you £1,000 a month, okay, and then that's really realistic. Net profit, net profit, £1,000 a month, but a buy-to-let is maybe £200 a month. Well, you've got to do 5 times the work, 5 times the effort, 5 times the mortgages to get the same. It's not smart. So start with cash flow. And this is going to really speed up your journey, okay? So the 2 cash flow strategies, and this makes it even easier for you guys now, is either start in HMO or SA. Okay, HMO, there's lots of different strands of it, student, professional, corporate. In SA, there's lots of different strands for it, Airbnb, holiday lets, corporate. But start in one of those because it's really going to speed up your journey, guys, and it's going to allow you to go full-time in property, okay, which is really powerful, and it's going to buy your time back. Because then once you're full-time, you can then decide where to grow. There's a time and place, for example, to move into flips, but you don't really want to start that because flips don't pay the bills because they're up and down, feast or famine. You might earn no money for 9 months. No, thank you very much. You want to do that later on once you've got, not only, you want to get your cash flow sorted first, because once your mortgage is paid, once your rent's paid, once your utilities and your lifestyle's paid for through cash flow, so your holidays and your car and everything, then you can move into other strategies. And if you want to diversify, you can do that. But you've got to start with cash flow. Okay, that will significantly, that tip alone can speed up your investment portfolio by years. So start with cash flow and focus on one strategy. And even then, don't do SA and HMO. I see people doing that wrong. No. Just do one and nail it. And then once you've nailed it, you don't need to do the other one because you've got your cash flow sorted. You can then diversify into other asset classes and other types. So then that'll maybe go, that's more advanced strategy. Maybe I'll go into a later podcast if it's sought after by you guys. Now on to tip number 3, which is teamwork. Okay, don't try and go alone. Do not try and do property investment alone. I've made that mistake and learned from my mistake, okay? We want to get around like-minded people. We want to have friends who are also property investors, okay? It really helps having a supportive community. It's significantly advantageous to have that, okay? And let's just name who we want right now. So at some point, it's advantageous to have business partners who are complementary to us. Really is. We need an accountant, we need a legal team, we need an architect. Property is a team game. It really is. Life's a team game. Life is a team game. We're tribal people, and we do better when we have a community around us. Get a mentor. Okay, don't try and figure it all out yourself. It's not advantageous, okay? Mentors have really helped me. It's significantly, they've been there, they've done it, they can accelerate you, they've made the mistakes, they'll help you at where to invest, what to invest in, how to refinance, you name it. If you try and figure out everything yourself, one, you'll make quite costly mistakes. That's what I did, when I lost half my life savings earlier, I was doing it all alone. That's really common. I was one of the fortunate ones to get my money back. A lot of people lose money when they go alone. But 2, you'll make your life harder and you'll slow things down and just less enjoyable if you try and do it alone. We don't want that. We're going away from society. So when you're starting your investment career, you might be doing it alone. So you don't want to be alone. You want to grow that team around you. So every phrase you've heard, every Instagram quote of teamwork makes the dream work, and If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And all those proverbs and quotes, they're true. They're true. Whether we like them or not, whether we think they're cheesy or not, they're real, they're true. So teamwork. Tip number 3 is teamwork. Do not try and do property investment alone. It'll only lead to heartache and failure, and there's no need. There's no need. Okay. So tip number 4 for you in terms of how to grow your property investment portfolio. And I'm rattling through these because I like to be punchy and get straight to the point. Tip number 4 is huge. It's belief. Okay, it's belief. Again, another quote. Henry Ford's quote. I'll try not butcher it from memory. If you believe you can or you can't, you're right. Okay, so let's apply that to property investment now. If you believe you can or can't, you're right. Or it might be you're correct. So if we believe we can be financially free, you're right. If we believe we can live our dream lifestyle, you're right. If we believe we can grow a multi-million-pound portfolio from scratch, we're right. And if we don't believe, we're right. And we need to have that belief. Okay, so very, very important. We need to find a way of nurturing that belief. And that again, is why focusing and having a team around you really helps, because you grow that belief. Okay, that's why having a mentor helps, because they can believe in you. But also having friends who are also investing in property really helps. Okay, and I'll just share an insight into my world, into like a real life story of when I didn't have belief, and then when I did, and how it really helped. So, for those who have followed me for any number of years, they'll know that me and business partners bought a beautiful property in Snowdonia National Park in a place called Dolgethlau that was a former derelict care home. And when I view our properties, I handle the finances, and I find all of our deals. When I went and viewed that, it overwhelmed me. Like, it overwhelmed. It's funny. I posted about the deal after we bought it, refurbed it, refinanced it. It got £1.1 million. Amazing. Really grateful for that, for the GDV. Amazing. And lots of people reached out to me. I found it really interesting that, oh yeah, Jamie, we looked at that. We saw that. We looked at it because it was on the market for 2 years. We looked at that. And what I realised is belief holds people back. Okay, because we make up these stories in our head that, oh, I can't do that. It's too big for me. No one's going to let that. It's too big. It's in the middle of a national park. We'll never get planning for that. And the limiting beliefs that other investors had around it, I had them as well when I viewed it. So I'm not Superman. I'm normal. We all have insecurities and blind spots. And this is 4 years ago now, 3-4 years ago now. I'm significantly more developed as personally, professionally since then. But I had limiting beliefs because whilst we were going through the conveyancing process, and it was very tricky to get planning permission on it. So it was a national park, it was COVID, there's no comparables for it. So planning took a while. And there were moments during the conveyancing process where I gave up. Okay, and I'm openly honest about that. Internally with our team, so I bought this with business partners and joint venture partners, and at one point or another, I think we all get, oh, we're not going to get this, guys. Shall we move on? Like, this is too difficult. And especially so my role in the business, because I don't do the refurbs, and I handle the conveyancing and the planning and the mortgages and the financing. I found it was far bigger than any deal that I'd done at that point. It was far bigger, more complicated. It had more figures involved. And it was overwhelming, and I had limiting beliefs over that. I just didn't think we could do it because we hadn't done anything as big as that. And I promise you this: if I didn't have those business partners and if I didn't have a mentor, we'd have given it up because I was ready to throw in the towel. I joined a coaching call with my then coach, and I said, "We can't do this." And he pulled me off the wall and he calmed me down and we just broke it down. And well, actually, we've done most of the hard yards now. Now he's waiting for planning permission. And then again, I've got to shout out my business partners there. So I bought this property with Alex and Abby Lever and Imran and Emily Kassam down in South Wales. And they were just amazing, really, really good people. And it really helped because they were... I can remember it was particularly Imran in this, so I will give a shout out to Imran. Don't know if he's going to hear this, but Imran was our funder, our JV partner, putting some funds in. But he's got such an abundant, positive mindset, and it really helped because he had this good belief. And while it was me orchestrating and managing the deal, and Imran wasn't having to do any of that part of it, he was a shining light, and his positivity really helped us early on. So again, teamwork. focus really helped. And then I got the belief, and you've got to block out the noise, because if I'd have listened to any noise out there, we wouldn't have bought it. There was noise that we couldn't get planning permission, we couldn't get the refurb right, we wouldn't let it. It was too big to let. And it was all nonsense. Don't take advice from anyone who's not done that thing. So only listen to people, only get advice from those who've done it. Okay, that property got a GDV of 1.175 million in the bank, and it brings in £200,000 per annum. And more importantly, guests love it, and it does real value to the community. It's really, really positive, because as guests are coming for their family holidays, they love spending money in local attractions and shops and bars and restaurants, and it's a hugely positive thing. It's not sat empty. So we turned an empty, derelict care home that was being trashed by local kids who were just bored and got nowhere else to go into this beautiful holiday let. We employed local tradesmen and got loads of cash in their pocket for the refurb, and now there's tourism boost and the local economy benefits from it. Guests love it. It's win 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 win. We've achieved it, but we got there by having belief through. But I didn't have my own belief then. I had to borrow belief from my mentor and borrow belief from my team. So yeah, it's very important to get that belief. Now, obviously, I very much have that belief, but there's still things which challenges, because we do even bigger projects than that now, and you just got to constantly top that up. Okay, so we've had 4 top tips right now, and the 5th and final one is knowledge. Okay, so it's brilliant that you're hearing this podcast now, and it really is important. It's vital. We don't know what we don't know. We just don't know. There is, I think, the biggest loss we'll all have in property is opportunity cost. Okay, it's deals we could have done, money we could have made, people we could have helped, lifestyles we could have had, holidays we could have funded, kind of charities we could have supported and set up, had we just known. Had we known how and who. The frameworks behind doing things, okay? It's really, really important. So however you like to learn, lean into it. Okay, develop a mindset of lifelong learning. Okay, every day should be a school day. Okay, podcasts, great, books, courses, masterminds, mentors, training, everything. Okay, we can't know enough. The only thing I will predicate that I will put an asterisk on there is we don't want to do, say, paid for training in too many strategies. We don't want to do that. I'll maybe, if it's popular, I'll maybe cover training in a separate podcast, like what to do and what not to do. But we don't want to do paid for HMO, buy-to-let, commercial conversion, refurb training, because it just overwhelms the mind. We don't need to do that. What's good is you want to get a baseline knowledge on everything from relatively cheap or free resources like YouTube and podcasts and books, and that's really advantageous. Okay, so get an understanding, then choose your baby. What are you going to focus on? Okay, what's going to be your main line of focus, and then you can invest in that, and then you get a specialist dedicated to training and knowledge in that, and then you'll absolutely fly. Because if you try and do too much, you have a confused mind. But do develop that growth mindset. For anyone that's into reading around wider topics, Mindset by Carol Dweck's brilliant book. Again, I will put the link in the show note. And yeah, it's just and if you like learning on YouTube, learn about developing a growth mindset. Okay, because then we. And it's down as every conversation you have with people, it's where's the value? We can all learn from everyone, okay? And it's realizing that. So as soon as we realize that we know nothing. 5 years ago, I thought I knew everything, okay? 5 years before I started investing, I thought I knew everything. That's why I was doing it alone. Now I'm here having grown a huge portfolio. I've got business partners. I've got this. I've got that. I know very little because there's a huge world out there to learn, but I don't need to learn a lot of it. I'm really focused on learning. So should you be. Okay. So I hope you found these top tips valuable. And actually, I'm going to throw a bonus one in. Okay. I'm going to throw a bonus one in because why not? Why not? And my bonus tip for you is action. Okay, this is the magic bullet, and this is why doing too much training doesn't work, because you have an overwhelmed mind. And if you learn how to how to source HMOs and the buy-to-lets and SAs and holiday lets and commercial conversions, you won't do anything because you'll be overwhelmed and you won't take action. And really, it's the action which makes it happen. Okay, so it's all fine and well doing research and doing analysis and doing and learning your investment area, but then it's things like taking consistent action. So what am I talking about here? Viewings, making offers. Amazingly, I go back 5 years. I was viewing properties and not making offers because I had mindset blocks. Okay, because I didn't know what a good deal was. I didn't know what a bad deal was. I was somewhat afraid of losing money because that can happen. So we don't want that. We want to enjoy the process. We want to take collaborative action though. Okay, collaborative action. So you want to have people around you. Okay, that might be your partner, that might be friends, that might be your mentorship group, that might be friends in property, your team, your accountant, your broker, your solicitor, you name it. But you want collaborative action. Okay, and it has to be consistent as well. Because we want to be, we are creatures of habit. We really are. So there's no good doing 5 viewings in one day and then no viewings for a month. Well, I say that if you get deals agreed, it is, but we want to be doing things consistently. Okay, and then whatever your goals are, I'm really, really grateful that I've raised millions of pounds within the portfolio. That's how we bought things, but I've done things very, very ethically, very, very consistently with people. Okay, and then taking action. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Okay, that's a huge. This is maybe tip number 7. But I could do 1,000 tips. I really could, but we don't have all day and all night. I made a commitment to keep these podcasts short and punchy for you. But yeah, be a man or a woman of your word. It's huge for me. It's a big way that I decide who I work with now and not work with. I'll do something small with someone now, and if they're a person of their word, because I am. Things don't always go perfectly, but when you're a person of your word and you know your value and you take action on that word and you enjoy the process, have fun, find what you love. Don't do tasks you don't enjoy. I'm not going to do refurbs now because I don't enjoy it. I'm not good at it, but I can bring the deal. I can orchestrate very smart, low-risk finance as well with regards to mortgages and bridges and other forms. So that's where I take my action now, but I do it collaboratively. We don't go and invest alone. Okay, so I hope you found these top tips valuable. Like mentioned, I could have gone through 200, but I think I'd run out of voice and you'd run out of patience. So they're my top ones. So just to recap, we want to focus on one main strategy. To begin with, we want that strategy to be cash flow focused because it's going to speed up your financial freedom significantly. We want to be collaborative and have teamwork. We want to have major belief and borrow that belief from others if you don't have it for yourself right now. That's what I've done in previous years. Invest in your knowledge. Okay, investing in yourself. Knowledge is critical. And then the bonus tip was take action. Consistent, collaborative, enjoyable action in the areas where you bring most value. Okay, so those were your top tips to grow your property portfolio. My top tips. I say top, we could go on all day, but for now, they're the top tips. And next week, I'm going to go under the bonnet of how exactly I grew my portfolio. Okay, real life insights into how specifically I've grown a portfolio worth £7 million in just 5 years. Okay, I'm going to pack that full of insights and lessons for you, and I can't wait. So I'll see you on the next episode, and take care. Thank you for listening to the Lifestyle Property Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you could leave us a review so we can reach and help more people. I'll also be giving one person who leaves a review a free family holiday to one of our luxury holiday lets. Thank you, and see you next time.